Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank our witnesses for your valuable testimony here today on this important topic. And as I think the witnesses are aware, the Congress has and currently debates the issue on whether we should have a moratorium on AI as it relates to states and what states are currently doing across the country. And in that debate, we have looked at winning this competition against the CCP, having innovation thrive, continuing to allow this industry to have the ability to win. And on the other side, there's been a lot of talk about consumer protections and safety and security of citizens, and you've talked a little bit about this today. The title of our hearing today, Algorithms and Authoritarians, why U.S. AI must lead. As we think about leading, I'm going to start with you, Dr. Macon. You talked about not inhibiting ourselves in this space. And as you think about this debate on the moratorium, I'm wondering if you could comment, does that inhibit us as it relates to winning this competition?
Thank you, Congressman. I would want to know more about the details, but I think it's important to move forward responsibly, but we do need to move forward. And I worry that so much of the conversation about AI is about all the bad things that could happen, and I think we need to acknowledge that. And that's been the case in the past. Think about the nuclear revolution. Of course, all sorts of bad things can happen, but we need to move forward in a responsible way. And I certainly hope, as a democracy, that we'll choose that path.
Mr. Beal, in your comments, you talked about urgent things need to happen. It would seem to me if we have a patchwork of states regulating AI in different facets, whether that's privacy, whether that's addressing deep fakes, whether that's taxing, if states want to do that in some form. I'm curious, you talked about deregulation of AI. How would a lack of a moratorium or a preemption affect AI?
Thank you, Congressman. This is a really tough question. On one hand, if we have 5,000 pieces of state legislation out there forcing companies to jump through a bunch of different hoops, then there's no doubt that we're going to slow ourselves down vis-a-vis the race with China. On the other hand, I think there is clear evidence in the polling that some of the American public is quite concerned and would like to see federal guardrails. And I think in an ideal scenario, you would have a federal guardrail approach and federal preemption. The last thing I'll mention is, my colleague mentioned the nuclear revolution. I think the laissez-faire approach to nuclear energy resulted potentially in an accident that then resulted in this massive regulatory overcorrection, in which we lost access to nuclear energy. In fact, today, as companies like Jax are trying to scale their capabilities, we're running into massive energy shortfalls. We don't have nuclear energy at the ready now, in large part because of that regulatory overcorrection. I think smart guardrails today at the federal level could help prevent a regulatory overreaction in the future in ways that harm our if I may, sir, one other question. I think it's also important to think about the China race. It's not just the sort of objective or absolute velocity, it's the relative velocity of each country. And as the military folks say, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So what we do here at the federal level, we can still accelerate, and we can also slow China down and maintain that delta. Thank you.
And Mr. Clark, obviously you run and work for a company that's engaged in this. I'm wondering if you could comment, and is there a middle ground here?
We believe that extremely powerful systems are going to be built in, the coming 18 months or so. End of 2026 is when we expect truly transformative technology to arrive. There must be a federal solution here. We need a federal framework that can give us a sense of a coherent legislative path forward, and I think it could run on ideas involving transparency and ways to harden the safety and security of AI companies. In the absence of a federal framework, I worry that we're just creating a vacuum in which, as my other witness said, should there be an accident or a misuse, in that vacuum will flood in really, really extreme overregulation that could damage this industry. So we have to find a way forward at a federal framework.
Thank you. I yield back.